It ain't famous for its Grand Prix.
If you grew up in New Zealand, lemon and Paeroa wasn't a brand you discovered. It was just there, in the fridge at the dairy, in brown glass bottles sweating on the bench next to fish and chips, on long summer days when the sun stuck to your skin and the drink in your hand tasted like lemon, minerals, and something uniquely Kiwi. You didn't ask where it came from. You didn't need to. It felt local. It felt permanent. It felt like Paeroa itself had been bottled and passed around the country, and that's why the real story behind L&P hits harder than most people expect. Just outside the small Waikato town of Paeroa, sometime around 1907, naturally carbonated mineral water bubbled up from the ground on what had once been a cow paddock near old gold mining land. Locals tasted it. Someone added lemon. And just like that, a drink was born, not in a boardroom, but by accident. At first, it was simply mineral water. In 1909, it was bottled commercially by Robert Fewell under the Paeroa Natural Mineral Water Company. Lemon came soon after. By 1915, the drink, now owned by Grey Menzies Limited, was being sold as Lemon and Paeroa, sometimes Paeroa and Lemon, before the name finally settled into the shorthand every Kiwi knows. L&P didn't try to be clever. It didn't try to be global, it just tasted different. A little sweet, a little dry, with a mineral edge you didn't get from lemonade. By the 1920s, a dedicated factory opened on Station Road in Paeroa, and the drink spread regionally. By the 1930s and 40s, it had worked its way into everyday New Zealand life, paired with fish and chips, pies, beach days and summer road trips. Then came the line that sealed its place in history. World famous in New Zealand. First appearing in the 1950s and 60s, it wasn't a boast. It was a wink. Self-aware, cheeky, perfectly Kiwi. L&P wasn't pretending to be Coke. It didn't need to. In 1969, it even won a British Bottlers Institute Diploma of Excellence, the only non-British Isles entrant to do so. For a drink from a town of a few thousand people, that mattered. So did the giant bottle. In 1967, a large rocket built for a Christmas promotion was repainted into the now iconic L&P bottle and placed in Paeroa. It still stands today, nearly 7 metres tall, quietly reminding passers-by where the drink came from, even if it no longer comes from there. Because this is where the story shifts. Ownership changed hands several times through the mid-20th century, moving through New Zealand breweries and later Schweppes-linked companies. In the 1970s, the original mineral spring water was phased out, replaced with artificially carbonated water to meet growing demand. The taste, Coke would later say, was carefully replicated, but some locals noticed the difference. Then, in July 1980, the biggest break came. The Paeroa factory closed. Production was moved entirely to Auckland. The reasons were familiar: efficiency, scale, economics. But for Paeroa, it felt like the heart had been lifted out of the drink that carried its name. For many older Kiwis, that moment became the dividing line, before and after, the real L&P and the one that followed. In 1989, Lemon and Paeroa was acquired by Coca-Cola Amatil, bringing it fully into multinational ownership. Since then, it has lived inside the global Coke system. Still marketed as Kiwi, still sold everywhere, but no longer local in any operational sense, and the complaints started to pile up. People said it tasted flatter, less lemony, too sweet, or not sweet enough. Some joked it now had 1 drop of lemon. Others defended it fiercely, saying it still tasted like summer. Calls surfaced in the 1990s asking whether it should even be called Paeroa anymore, yet somehow it endured. L&P survived flavour debates, factory closures and corporate ownership. It spawned limited editions, chili and lime, pineapple lumps, collaborations with Whitakers and Griffins, frugal ice blocks, and endless packaging tweaks. Even when brown glass bottles were phased down in favour of plastic, people complained, loudly, because they cared, and that might be the point. So what happened to Lemon and Paeroa? It didn't disappear, it didn't collapse, it didn't even really change sides. It became something else, a drink born from a place now owned by the world, still clinging to its origin through memory, humour, and a giant bottle beside State Highway 2. The spring is quiet now, the factory's gone, but the name remains. And for a country that measures its icons by feeling as much as fact, that might be enough. What do you reckon? Does L&P still taste like New Zealand, or just remind us of it? Drop your take in the comments. Like and subscribe for more stories behind the brands we grew up with. And as always, stay curious.